Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming back at you again. It seems like there's some good news in Florida. Looks like Ron Desantis is finally putting his foot down again, and he's following suit to what Trump would do. He's draining that swamp. Those democratically elected officials in Florida that want to do things their way and try to run Florida down like the other blue states. But you'll see what's going on here. Here we go.
Morning, we have our Attorney General Ashley Moody, we have Sheriff Grady Judd from Polk County, Wayne Ivey, Sheriff of Brevard County, and then we have Judge Andrew Bain from the Ninth Judicial Circuit. The state of Florida is a law and order state, and that means we support the men and women who wear the uniform, who protect and serve. It means we have strong policies to hold criminals accountable for their misconduct. Prosecutors have a duty to faithfully enforce the law. One's political agenda cannot trump this solemn duty. Refusing to faithfully enforce the laws of Florida puts our communities in danger and victimizes innocent Floridians. Accordingly, I am today announcing the suspension of State Attorney Monique Worrell from the Ninth Judicial Circuit, effective immediately.
And there you go. It was just a matter of time. I mean, you know, these state attorneys, they're causing way more harm to society than anything else. I mean, to the public, just by lowering down, sentencing and stuff like that. I mean, look what's happening in New York with all the crime, the way they downgrade the crimes in Chicago, in New York, in California, and the crime rate just keeps going up. I mean, look at Washington. I mean, their elected officials, I mean, they lowered damn near every violent crime, and now they're crying because now they want the National Guard to start patrolling the streets because the crime is so out of hand. But that's what happens when you put in woke DAs and woke attorney generals and stuff like that, and they think that by lowering crime sentences that it's going to help, and it doesn't. It just emboldens the criminals to do more and more and more damage to the people in society. But let's continue.
I'm appointing Judge Andrew Bain to take over as state attorney for the Ninth Judicial Circuit. Judge Bain is currently a judge in Orlando. He is a native Floridian. He attended University of Miami, where he played football, and he received his law degree from Florida A&M Law School. And I trust that he will be a prosecutor that faithfully enforces the law and will keep the communities of Central Florida.
And that's the way you got to do it. I mean, you got to bring in people that are going to bring a law and order and make sure that everybody's safe, and not look at color, not look at ideology, not look at political party, but just do the job. Get the criminals off the street. Get these streets safe. Protect the innocent. And it just seems like more and more of these, political officials. I shouldn't say political officials. The people that are in charge of whatever, security forces, police department, FBI, Department of Justice. I mean, it just seems like they just have these people in the intent on letting crime just fester and manifest itself and just keep going on and on and on. But let's keep going.
Monique Worrell's administration of criminal justice in the Ninth Circuit has been clearly and fundamentally derelict, so as to constitute both neglect of duty and incompetence. The policies or practices listed in our executive order suspending her that constitutes the grounds of suspension are as follows. One, a pattern or practice to avoid minimum mandatory sentences for gun crimes. Pattern or practice to avoid minimum mandatory sentences for drug trafficking offenses.
And you know what? In Florida, just like a lot of states, I mean, the drug epidemic is outrageous. That's number one. But when it comes to a state like Florida that is pro-Second Amendment, the people of Florida, I've lived in Florida, and they are very adamant about protecting themselves, standing their ground, but also being very responsible when it comes to the gun laws. And to lower the crimes on the criminals that are breaking the laws, the gun laws, that's dangerous. And you would think that even if, that if this woman, even if, she's a Democrat, but even if that doesn't matter, you would just think that she's living in a state where she knows how strict Florida is when it comes to gun laws. Because they stand by the Second Amendment, but they want responsible gun ownership. They want people to be responsible. And to have an attorney, a state attorney like that, somebody in high rank in power, to just start lowering down the penalties for people breaking gun laws is just it's bad. And I'm glad that he's getting rid of her the same way he got rid of the other dude last year. That's something that you have to do. You got to clean that swamp, man. You got to get rid of the people that are emboldening the criminals to just keep breaking the laws, and that's just the way it should be.
Pattern of practice allowing juvenile offenders to avoid serious charges and incarceration altogether. Pattern of practice to avoid valid and applicable sentencing enhancements. Pattern of practice limiting charges for child pornography. Pattern of practice for seeking withhold with.
That in itself right there, if it's true, I find it totally disgusting. There's been a couple of states, California being one of them, and how more and more people are not leaving is beyond me, where they're lowering the sentencing on sex offenders and people engaging in child pornography and stuff like that. Stand for whatever you want to stand for. I get it. But if anybody looks up the videos on my channel, I'm very adamant about leave the children the fuck alone. And it just baffles my mind that this woman would lower the sentencing on pedophiles, because number one, in my opinion, is just totally disgusting to even do that. Number two, she's a woman. You would think she had some kind of motherly instinct, and it's like, how do you take this position and at any given time, never mind the people committing crimes, the gun crimes and the drug crimes, the ones that are committing crimes against children, it's like that could be any one of your constituents' kids. And I just don't understand the Democratic mindset, other than all I can think of is the more and more that they get exposed for things like this, I just believe more and more that they're just evil, wicked people. Because nobody in their right mind should stand for any kind of crime other than the criminals themselves. I mean, obviously they're fucking criminals. But anybody in political power, anybody with a brain in their heads, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you are, why, oh why do you stand for the criminals and not against them? It's beyond me. But let's continue.
Withholding of adjudication in situations not permitted under Florida law. Prosecutors do have a certain amount of discretion about which cases to bring and which not. But what this state attorney has done is abuse that discretion and has effectively nullified certain laws in the state of Florida. That breaches her duties that she owes to the people of Florida under our state constitution, and provides the basis for the suspension. And we can look to see all these different instances of people who have committed criminal offenses, victimized people, because they were not held accountable in accordance with the laws of Florida when they had the opportunity to hold them accountable. In November of 2022, there was a 17-year-old Lorenzo Larry shot and killed his pregnant girlfriend, DeShayla Ferguson. He had previously been arrested in May of 2022 on several charges, including carrying a concealed firearm, possession of a firearm on school property, and criminal possession of a firearm by a minor. But He was released after all these arrests. Worrell's office did not act on any of these charges until after he killed his girlfriend and their unborn child.
Look at that. She could have easily held that young man behind bars, and because of her woke ideology, her democratic leftist wicked ideology, a young girl and an innocent child are dead. Unbelievable. That's why I always say to the leftists and anybody that's for the open borders, the raping, the killing, the kidnapping, the drugs, if you're for it as a politician, all that blood is on your hands. All that blood is on your hands.
In 2018, Jazir Dobson invaded a home in Orange County and robbed the occupants at gunpoint. Dobson was charged with multiple counts of armed burglary with a firearm, robbery with a firearm, and false imprisonment. These charges carried a 10-year mandatory minimum sentence with a maximum of life in prison. After Worrell took office in 2021, 5 of the charges were not prosecuted and adjudication was withheld on the remaining. Withholding adjudication means that Dobson is not considered a convicted felon, and possession of a firearm by a felon would not apply if he were rearrested in the future. And he was sentenced to only 51 weeks of jail time, and he was sentenced as a youthful offender. And
you wonder why these criminals keep breaking the law. I mean, New York is rampant with crime, and they're saying that there is about, I believe, 600 or 700 repeat offenders running rampant in New York, and they keep letting them out. Now, in a state, in a city where, or I should say in a state when the high peak of tourists and stuff are coming in, I believe there's about 11 million people, 12 million people in and out. On the low end, you know, when all the tourism is over, there's only between 8 and 9 million people that live in New York. But to have the same amount of people and in the hundreds committing the same crime, committing crimes, and they keep getting let out, it makes you wonder how Alvin Bragg got his job, how Eric Adams got his job. I mean, this woman right here, how she got her job. Look at the mayor of Chicago. He when they try to confront him about what these kids are doing in Chicago, what these criminals are doing, if you look at the interviews, he looks very angry, like he wants to curse somebody, because he keeps telling them, don't talk like that about them, don't say that, don't say it. It's like, dude, you keep coddling these fucking criminals. Criminals are not meant to be coddled. They either change their ways or they don't. But they're never going to change their ways if you don't lock them up. And it's disgusting already. But we'll go on a little more, because I have another clip on what she has to say about this. But let's continue.
This past weekend, Worrell was at the center of another major controversy. Dayton VL was arrested in March of 2023 for sexual battery on a minor, as well as lewd and lascivious molestation. The arrest was made while he was on probation for another offense. That probation began in February of 2022, and yet he was still let out on bond and then tragically shot 2 Orlando police officers.
Look at that. So the guy out there, he's out there molesting kids and shooting at cops. And it's her fucking job to keep that scumbag behind bars. And she failed. And she didn't fail. She just didn't care. That's why I said that the people on the left, the Democrats on the left, the one, especially the ones in high power, I mean, they're just so corrupt. They're so criminally minded. But we'll get to the clip where she had what so everybody can hear what she has to say.
Or duly elected state attorney for the 9th Judicial Circuit, and nothing done by a weak dictator can change that.
I like the way she says duly elected, right? Now, Ron DeSantis did not insult her in any way. He only set the facts. You see the way the Democrats got a throwback? She comes out and says, a dictator. There they go. Once again. Just coming out with the smear campaign. Anybody that doesn't agree with them, they're dictators, they're fascists, they're racist, they're xenophobes, they're homophobes, they're this, they're that. I will never, ever vote for a fucking Democrat. You know, they're the ones that start the race baiting. They're the ones that start the racist, the systemic racism. They're the ones that are pushing the trans ideology on the kids. They're the ones that are letting out the criminals, the rapists, the murderers, the child molesters, the drug dealers. They're the ones lowering their sentences. They're the ones doing it. But let's continue. And what kills me, that people are going to clap for her. And this is why I say, when the shit hits the fan, where one of them are affected by the crime, I say it in a lot of my videos, don't say a fucking word. Don't say a word. Because you bought that. You bought it, you fucking own it.
This is an outrage. But under this tyranny, elected officials can be removed simply for political purposes and by a whim of the governor. And no matter how you feel about me, you should not be okay with that.
Really? I wonder if she feels the same way with Donald Trump. It's funny how she just made that statement, but yet look at what the Biden regime is doing to Donald Trump. Look at what the Department of Justice is doing to Donald Trump, the FBI, and every other fucking agency. And for her happy ass to say that, oh, she doesn't like it. It's funny. I really hope a lot more Democrats watch my channel so they can see these types of things. They can see both sides. Just on the fact alone that Ron DeSantis was only spitting facts, talking about the facts, just saying exactly why he's suspending her, why he's getting rid of her. She's got to come out and right away come out and say he's a dictator, that this is a political hit job, or what, you know. It's so damn ridiculous. It truly is.
That is Monique Worrell, who was an elected Florida state attorney, slamming Governor Ron DeSantis after he abruptly suspended her yesterday. This is now the second time in 1 year that DeSantis has removed an elected official from their position. An elected official. Both are Democrats who were replaced by Republicans.
And not for nothing, this is the only quick clip I can get, but Mika and Joe, trust me, they're what kills me, they're such fucking hypocrites, because they still reside in Florida. But when I mean that they're hypocrites, they're just, I'm even surprised they have a fucking fan base, to tell you the truth.
His executive order accuses Worrell of under-prosecuting crimes, but she says this is an attempt to jumpstart his presidential primary bid. Monique Worrell has vowed to run for her position again, but before she does that, she joins us now, right here on Morning Joe. It's good to have you on.
Ms. Worrell, thank you so much for being with us. I have to admit, I mean, I've been, my family moved to Florida like over 40 years ago. I've been involved in politics and intimately involved in politics for a very long time. I've got to say, despite all that, even I am shocked that a governor can just boot out somebody who was elected by the people. That's what everybody needs to understand. You weren't appointed by anybody. You were elected by the people. And
okay, I'm gonna stop right there because I'm gonna wind up punching my fucking screen in. You know, this dude's a moron. What he needs to do is find out what kind of power the governor has. Okay? If he really thinks that Governor DeSantis doesn't have that power, maybe he should go talk to fucking Gavin Newsom in California. Because if anybody knows how to turn shit around, if they want to say that he's abusing his power, Go speak to Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is the king of abusing his fucking power as a governor. But it doesn't surprise me. You know, they don't do their job. You know, they make it seem like everything's a hit job. You know, a political hit job. You know, against the Constitution, against the rules, against the laws, against this, against that. But yet she was hired to uphold the law and prosecute criminals. And she couldn't even fucking do that. And this dingbat right here can't even see why she is being suspended. Doesn't even have the intelligence to look at the information that Ron DeSantis just put out and say, you know what, well, you know, and even question it. And that's why I said people like these two right here, her and these two right here, you know, part of that elitist Democratic machine where they think that they're not responsible and that criminals are right and victims are wrong. But it doesn't surprise me. It truly does not surprise me, because this is what we've seen in Chicago, in New York, in California, in Baltimore. I mean, you know, it's like, I mean, Tennessee. Look at Tennessee. Tennessee has the highest crime rate in the nation. And the two morons, they got booted off. Okay? Out of their political seats. They bitched and moaned and said it was racist and this and that and that and this. And they fucking brought them right back. And they have done nothing to bring down the crime rate. But they bitched and moaned that it was racist. Meanwhile, they were inciting fucking violence amongst the people. How people can vote Democrat in this day and age is beyond me. And I'm being totally serious. I'm being totally serious, and I've always said there's no hair on my tongue. I just think it's disgusting, but I'm glad that, you know, these wicked people are being exposed, and a lot more needs to be exposed, and we need good people in there. And listen, even if they bring another Democrat, it has to be a Democrat that has fucking true American values, that wants to take care of the constituents, that wants to get rid of crime, that wants to get rid of the drugs, the child pornography, the shut the border. You know, a person like Tulsi Gabbard, you would think that she's a Republican, a conservative. She had to leave the Democratic Party and become independent because she was not fitting their narrative. But she believes in law and order. She believes in taking care of the country. But they won't give her a platform. Just like Kennedy. Same thing with him. He believes the same way. But they won't give him a platform. They bash him. These people are so fucking wicked in this day and age that, you know what? If another Democrat never sat in the White House again, that'll be too soon. In all honesty. And I'm sorry about the ruckus in the background of my camera moving. My dogs, they're very feisty and they're playing around. That's what happens when you got some big dogs in the house. But anyway, if you like what you've seen so far, please comment, share, subscribe, give it a thumbs up. I'm True Outlaw Patriot. And as always, stay vigilant, keep praying, and keep praying for each other. Peace.